So we are now going to continue with an incredible presentation that Mr. Zwers, Jim Zwers, has brought us from Clearwater Academy International. And he's going to talk about all the special education elements that make Clearwater Academy so great.
Thanks, Lynn. So I want to talk a little bit about our philosophy, like what's at the core, because when you talk about, when you walk in a school and you're like, okay, they have building, they have chairs, they have chalkboards, they're like everything else, but there's something that really at the core of our school it's very different and unique. And so I want to share that with you and your audience because I think it's really special and I'd love to just kind of spread the word about that. Okay?
Excellent.
Great. So first of all, that's our school, that's the campus. Very nice. It was built for us as a school in 1997. It was built. We moved in 1998. So I want to talk about what makes an education an ideal education. Okay, so a couple different things about Clearwater Academy that are unique and special. Okay, so first of all, we believe in a concept we call mastery-based education. So this is sort of like saying when you've mastered a topic, you move on to the next step. Okay, a lot of regular schools are going to be like, well, you got like 90% or you got 50% or you got 60% or whatever, we're just going to move you on, which means you're missing 40%, 30% of the knowledge that you were taught, right?
Even I got that math.
Right, good, right? Not too hard. Then, so what we want to do is we want to say, good, if we think it's important enough to teach it to you, we want you to fully understand it. Because everything we're doing, everything we're teaching, it builds on each other. Okay. Right? So if you have a house, you have a foundation, you don't want to have holes, you don't want to have a weak foundation before you put the walls and the roof on. So we're going to make sure every step is fully grasped, the student has full mastery, and then we move to the next step. Okay? So with that, it leads to kind of an expectation that a student will get like 100% on their exams. And if they don't get 100% on an exam after a section of study, we'll figure out what they missed, we'll have them review that material, get help if it's needed, and then we'll have them then move on to the next section. Okay, so
it's a nice luxury.
Yeah, it is.
Because obviously the kid is going to school to learn. Right. So that's his goal as well. Even if he doesn't, it's a little buried. He is going there to learn. So. And
you see what it does for the student's confidence is great, because instead of a student going like, well, I only understand half of what's said to me, they're like, no, they're going to get it fully.
Excellent.
And then that builds their confidence in their ability to learn, which is great. Next thing is we're very student-centric. We're very concerned, not that we don't care about the teacher, we don't care about the classroom, we don't care about the school, but we care most about how is each student doing as an individual.
Right.
So we do a lot of different things where we're able to track student progress and academic progress on an individual basis. We have a computer database that helps us track that every week with every student. Things like this, so we can detect quickly if a student's falling behind, if they're not learning something, if suddenly a student's getting 100%, and suddenly they're getting like 85, 90, 85, something going on, so we can fix that, right? So that's kind of a unique component to the school. And then we also have a system which we call the Student Success Circle, which allows us to measure the whole student. We look at the student as a whole, which actually I'll get into the whole thing in just a second, okay? Everything we do is centered around our mission statement as a school, right? Which is to maximize each student's unique potential through excellent academics and a high dynamic experience for the ultimate benefit of the student and society. When you break it down, so first of all, we're looking at each student's unique potential. Each student has different capabilities, each student has different strengths, different goals and purposes, and to kind of measure every student the same way and expect the same outcome for every student doesn't make sense.
No.
People are different. They have different things, different abilities, different purposes, again. And so we take that individuality and we really embrace that sort of individuality with the students. Okay? And we do that with excellent academics, so our great academic program in the classroom, and what we like to call a high dynamic experience, which means we have lots of things outside the classroom that are just really ramp up the kids' activity level and their interaction with others and their expectation to be competent and get results and things. So it's all the things like through sports, arts. We also go on like sort of various high adventure trips. We'll go skiing, we go whitewater rafting, we do different things like this that are like very activities with high, just a lot of activity, a lot of action to them, right? So I do that. Gets kids out of their comfort zone, gets them interacting again, working as a team.
Pushing the body, teamwork,
Totally, yep. And again, we're doing all this for the students' benefit and society's benefit. Not for our benefit, not for the parents. We love their parents, but we really if we really focus on what's best for the student in every circumstance. Not what's easiest for us,
right.
Not what's easiest for the teacher, but what's best for the student. That really creates a good stable point from which to reference everything else.
Absolutely. It really is an everybody wins. If at the end result you're looking to put in a productive, great member of society to then take their gifts and make that domino effect happen, then clearly that's the win-win.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Okay, now there's another key tool we have. So, we have this goal of every student progressing at their maximum, achieving their maximum level of ability and knowledge, and we need different tools that help us get there, right? So one of our key tools is something we call study technology. So it's an actual method to study. It's developed by L. Ron Hubbard, and one of the things it does is it allows a student to really learn any subject. And so there are things that prevent a person from understanding something. If I give you a book, there are things that are going to prevent you from understanding it if you don't understand it. And so Mr. Hubbard researched this, discovered these methods, and we were able to adopt those methods, bring them into our school, and those are really good ways for a student to approach a new subject, be able to fully understand it, and then the good thing about it is when a person can fully understand it, then they're able to fully use that information.
That's right, which is the whole philosophy of your school anyway. But the truth is that as a methodology, we have them for all kinds of things. How to drive a car. There's I learned how to shoot a rifle when I was at the Sheriff Citizens Academy, and there are certain stances. One had a methodology of this, another that way. So now, if you have a methodology of study that at the end produces the actual application of whatever it is you're studying, be it knitting or how to throw a frisbee, you're going to be successful. So I think it's brilliant that there is a methodology, because I got to be honest, I don't know that there is ever a methodology of how to study taught anywhere. I'm unaware of it. So.
Yeah, no, there are sometimes schools that will teach learning strategies or things like this, which can sometimes be helpful. This is a little more comprehensive. That's why we like it, and it's a little more universal to any subject. So we found it to be very successful. So we really embraced it. It's been great for us. Another thing, going back to the individuality of the students, with our mission statement, since everything focuses around that, most schools, it's all about the GPA, it's all about your test score, it's all about what's your grade point average, and everything kind of comes down to this letter or this number,
right?
And this, in a way, can very often sort of violates our belief in the uniqueness of the student, because it kind of makes everybody just kind of this number and this thing, and kind of boils down an entire life, an entire living person down to a single digit, which is weird, right?
Right.
I like this quote, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Right?
True.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that just says it all.
Right? And that's exactly the problem. And that's why there's a lot of research that's been done about the the lack of correlation between good academic scores, good SAT scores, and success in the workplace. Being good in the classroom doesn't necessarily equate to being good in the workplace.
No.
It's a different skill set, it's different abilities, everything, right?
Well, look at it's a cliche, but it's, when you talk to someone about, playing in the sandbox, you can have this genius and you try to put him in a work environment and he's been pretty reclusive his whole life. He's going to have a hard time, and others are going to have a hard time with him. So clearly it can't just be the numbers or the grade.
Yeah, exactly. The this is funny because this quote says like probably not Albert Einstein. This is like one of these internet quotes that gets like, oh, Albert Einstein said this, and he probably never said it and like whatever. But I just kind of like.
That's really cute.
So one of the things we'll do with this education, so rather than kind of measure the kids on this one-dimensional like GPA scale, we try to kind of take a more holistic look at the person as in their entirety. And so we developed these things we call the Student Success Circle, and it breaks down these 4 categories. So we sort of have knowledge, the person himself, humanity or how he relates to others, and then their competence, their ability to get a product. So by looking at these different areas, you start to see like because part of what led to this is sort of like early on when I was at the school, and we had some students that were great academic students and great scores, great this and that, and I remember some kids who were like great in the classroom, and I was like, yeah, but I probably wouldn't hire that person.
Interesting.
And that was for me
it's an aha moment.
Yeah, it was a real aha moment. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here, So I started to dig into it and research different things that made people successful and not successful, and came up with these general areas. So if you think about how they are themselves, or are they dirty? Do they take care of themselves? Are they unhealthy? Do they have low energy? These are important things in terms of determining, employability, humanity, like how do they work with others? How do they relate to others? Do they have good manners? Do they respect people? Things like that.
Do they consider themselves part of a group or part of a bigger whole?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then competence. If knowledge, like schools for years have got the knowledge part down, no problem, right? And then if we get into like also this area of competence, like how do you take that knowledge and translate it to actual production and value and exchangeable value, So that's kind of where that comes down. Then what we did is took it a step deeper and kind of took these 4 general areas and we broke it down to 20 different traits that we want to track with every student, okay?
Wow.
Yeah. So if we go in the knowledge area, that's pretty basic in terms of like, okay, English, math, science, social studies, their ability to study itself as a trait, because again, their education isn't going to end with us. We want them to continue to be able to study. And then graduation prep, which is really career preparation.
As a parent, I'm telling you, I did not know. I felt so honestly helpless for my daughter. And I realized that I was way out of my comfort zone, league, ability to be effective. And I found someone who could help me. So it's a thing.
Absolutely. And this is really, again, like saying, okay, good. Are you prepared for what's next after graduation, right? Whether that's college, whether that's your career or whatever, are you set up for your next steps? So that's kind of the knowledge section. Then we go over here under self. So like grooming and possessions, can they take care of their stuff? Can they take care of their body, their physical fitness? Self-management, meaning sort of like, can they manage themselves? Can they correct themselves? Can they, if they mess up something, can they solve their problems? Things like that.
Can they not fall to pieces and be able to maintain?
Yep, exactly.
Problem solve.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly, and self-improve as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we get into the final area of attitude. What's their attitude? What's their outlook on life around them? Things like that. Then get into like competency. So here, like persistence and productivity. So this is sort of like how hard will you follow a path? This is sort of like how fast will you go? Productivity, communication skills, job skills, teamwork, life skills. Teamwork is interesting because it used to be like leadership. In most schools, a lot of private schools go, oh, we're really focused on leaders. We're trying to build leaders. We're educating the leaders of tomorrow. And that may be true, but leadership is just one quality of being a team member.
Yeah.
When you're in charge, you should be a good leader.
That's right.
When you're not in charge, you should be a good follower or a good supporter. And these are all different. They're
because
all
that's
on
all
the same scale.
encompassing versus one specific thing.
Yeah.
In my high school, I took a class. It was an elective, and couldn't wait to be in the high school to pick electives.
Yeah.
And it was called Independent Living.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking. This is 1980.
Okay. 2010, I think you said?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
It was 1980. It was called Independent Living, and mostly girls took it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't home ec, but we did learn how to boil water.
Yep.
We did learn how to sew a button on.
Yep.
And there was those things, but then it was also, what is a checkbook? How do you balance a checkbook?
Yep.
We took a trip to the bank. We learned how to write a check. We learned proper letter writing.
Yeah.
And I remember this teacher so much because every single thing I learned in that class, I applied,
Right.
including the
Yeah.
cooking,
Yeah.
knowing how to literally make a hamburger.
Yep.
Because you see the ground beef, can you imagine? You see the ground beef, you go there and you go, somehow that becomes
Exactly.
a hamburger.
Do I use my hand? Do
Yeah.
I use 2
Do
spoons
you need a
together? What do
spoon?
you
Right,
do,
you
right?
need
Yeah.
a scale, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I look at that and the life skills and the teamwork and the job skills. It's just not taught enough
No.
in some way, shape, or form,
No.
so that you're thinking with it
Yeah.
and that you can do individual programs. I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So then the final quadrant, when we look at the section on humanity, so it's like their social interaction, how they work together with others, manners, things like that. Their worldview. So this also includes like environment, protecting our environment, taking care of the world around us, other cultures, things like that. Their personal ethics, and then arts and aesthetics as well. So we want every child, whether they're an artist, we want them to have some kind of appreciation and understanding of the arts
Absolutely.
as well. And also, and even in a practical standpoint, like how much, like as a business person, how much, like an appreciation for art and aesthetic and good design and a good logo and a good advertisement and good font choices and things like this really can add up to more effective business communication. So now one of the things, as we look at those different, like those spokes of the wheel that are kind of growing out from the middle, we've developed actually trait charts for each of these spokes. So there's different qualities for each of these 20 traits that as a student will go kind of up the scale on each of these things as they become educated, as they gain more experience and things like this. And so what we want to do is we want the students to kind of grow out from the middle and fill in this circle. Okay. Now our goal is not a perfect circle, because again that would violate our uniqueness of every student. So some students will be better in certain areas than others, but we want a certain minimum score for every student.
I love that. I love that just right at the get-go,
Yep.
you knew and that it should not be a perfect circle. I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
And that's perfect. So this would be a chart for I think it's like a 4th grade boy, and you see kind of academically he's right there at the 4th grade level. Graduation prep, not too much look into the future just yet. Grooming possessions, could use a little work, but he's kind of like on that path. He's doing his stuff, physical fitness, pretty high, just kind of like that kind of thing. So
They do have the energy at that age.
Gotta let them use it, right? Let's burn it up, right? This is another example. This would be a high school student. This is one of our student athletes, actually. Again, very high, very very high, very, like off the charts, almost on the physical level. Some of the other areas could use some work, this and that, catching up on some of his academic work. But you see how it gives a much more complete picture of the person than just being like, what's his GPA? It's very validating for the person to not boil down their entire existence down to what happens in the classroom,
Right.
but looking at them as a whole person,
Yeah.
and all their traits and all their abilities and all their strengths and weaknesses and things like this. As well, the like the chart with the different levels on each step, the students get that, they can read, they can also see what they need to do to improve, and they can do it themselves. So rather than being told like, oh, you're not blah, blah, blah,
Right.
Instead the student goes, oh, well, to get up kind of another level, I just need to kind of like be a little more
Yeah, it's
focused, or a little
confrontable.
more disciplined, or exactly.
And they see where they can actually just
and
apply a little more
because
elbow
because
grease.
it's step by step, not just like, because so many things like these, like, become like very, we talk about these in very like binary, very black and white terms often. Well, he's an artist or he's not an artist.
Right.
He's good at math or he's not good at
Right.
math. But what about if you say like, well, he's at like level 4 in math, but with a little work he could get to level 5 on math.
That's right.
Or as an artist, well, he's level 6 in artist, but
Right.
a little more work he get to level 7. At least he's not level 5.
Yeah.
And then you start to get like more of a conversation that actually leads to solutions. Because what happens when you get into these like very binary evaluations, you get into like you basically become you wind up labeling. Like if I say like, oh, I'm not good at math,
Right.
that's essentially putting a label there, which doesn't, when you have a label, you don't have a solution.
No.
You just go, okay, well, that's that,
It's
right?
a wall, really.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not an artist. I'm
Yeah.
not, well, okay, well, maybe you're not the best artist, but you have everybody has some artistic
That's
ability.
right.
So then you can start to evaluate, and then you go, oh, well, there's a pathway to better success in an area, okay? So it's very exciting that way to work with the kids because everybody has a pathway to be really successful. So it's pretty neat.
I think it's amazing.
The funny thing about it is when I presented it in this form, there's been different evolutions over the years of this, right, as kind of worked with the concept. But when I presented it in this form to the staff about a year and a half ago, the staff were like, oh, well, I'm talking about the students, this and that. And suddenly the staff started to go, oh, this is for us too.
Yeah.
This applies to us, right? And so then I was like, and then when I saw that, I was like, okay, cool. Now we're nailing it.
Because
now we're
everyone
good,
will apply it then, and they'll
Exactly.
actually figure out how.
And it
to...
applies to everybody.
Yeah.
It isn't
Yeah.
just for 10-year-olds or something, So that's
Definitely
pretty cool.
not.
Well, listen. So I'm going to tell you something. So we're super excited about all this stuff academically. Campus is full. We got tons of kids there. And we want to grow. We need more space. I want to be able to service more students. So this is the school right now. So that's kind of an aerial view of the campus. We have about 250 students. This is the layout of the property. We also have a little land over there. And what we want to do is we're going to rework, first of all, how the parking goes through. We're going to make more parking. We're going to make like the driveway through there. And then we'll be able to expand out the playground this way. Okay. Then when we do that, that leaves us a footprint there where we can add this extra extension to the building. So this
Excellent.
So this building will be upstairs. We're going to have some classrooms, and then downstairs we'll have a theater.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So the perspective view would be like that. So this is the existing building, and then we just kind of extend that out that way. And then side view, so we'll have it like that. So this will be the theater. So like where the stage areas, lights, all that will be up higher. And we'll extend that out, and then we'll have extra classroom space. So this will give us space for about 100 more students, which we're excited about.
Incredible.
Yeah. So that's what we're working on. This is how this looked last year, and now this looks like this year. This is our new technology lab, which I've told you about before, but this is our great kind of our creativity center where we have our technology, 3D printers, laser cutters, computer software, curriculum, a whole thing on that. So that's actually done, so that's exciting. And then this is our administration building, and then we want to put a second floor there.
Oh, yeah, you
Because-
need that.
Yeah,
That's
we're very tight.
incredible.
Yeah, to support that many students, you need a certain amount of administration and
Absolutely.
things like this to help on that.
So I can tell you this, there is no question about it. If I had my way
Yeah.
and I had a pick, I would go to Clearwater Academy. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because you're my
No, I
friend, and I'm
understand.
not
Yeah.
saying that because you're here, but everything about it, and I've seen the products, I've seen the kids, I've seen the level of competence that they have, and it's just a no-brainer for me where I would want my kid to go or where I would go. But I want you to know that, and I want you to tell people how to get hold of you, because I know that you certainly have a lot of students right now,
Yeah.
but I think there's always room for a few more.
Yeah, we'd love to have more. We'll find a way to,
Figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll find space, But so clearwateracademy.org is the first thing. Make sure you go to .org, because if you go to .com, you're going to go to a different school. But clearwateracademy.org, and like I said, phone number 727-446-1722.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward. Do you know what the next play is? Is there a spring play?
There we do. We have a very. Is it
top secret?
No, it's not top secret.
Okay,
It's
good.
very exciting. You want to know?
'Cause you know
I'll
I'm
tell
a big fan.
We're breaking news right here.
Yes.
Ready? So we are going to do Hogwarts the Musical, which is a play we did originally like 10 years ago. It's a spoof on Harry Potter. It takes some different stuff from different Harry Potters, and it's got a great musical soundtrack to it, and it's very funny. And we did it in the early stages of our theater development, and we want to do it again at a totally new level with brand new students and at a whole nother higher level. So we're very excited about it. It's very funny, great music, and Yeah, so that'll be, I think, first week of April. It's like one of my favorite plays we ever did, and I'm so excited about it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming, and I'll be by the school soon.
Great. Thanks, Lynn.
All right.